Today we bring a pre-Civil War mantle back to life.
Getting all the way through a mantle takes me about a week.
Wow. You are in the most bombed area in all of North America to this day.
And it's time to start repairing these old windows. What happened to all this plumbing here?
I've never seen anything like this before. There's already rot going on in that trunk.
So what have you found up here?
Well, a bit of a surprise.
It's really the classic plumber's lament.
Nice. This one right here is right on.
Ooh, and the smell just changed.
That's back guano.
Oh, lovely.
Now it's your turn to save it for the next generation. The money's in the detail.
That is beautiful. Welcome back to This Old House here in Charleston, South Carolina, where we are following two projects. Both are in the historic district in the city. One is downtown and one is right here in this up-and-coming neighborhood. Our homeowner Judith used to visit her grandparents when they used to live in this house. And now that it is Judith's, she wants to save it and bring it back. But I'll tell you, there is a lot of work to be done. So much work, in fact, that our general contractor actually had to do a lot of demolition before they could even come up with a plan to rebuild the house. Tommy, demo is done, and they actually took off quite a bit.
Yeah, we took off actually two sections. First of all, we took off an addition that was pretty rotted, and it was definitely an add-on. You could tell by the structure and the type of materials.
And it definitely had to go. It was a disaster.
And we took it back to this point right here where you can actually see a corner of the foundation. This is so bad, we might as well take that off until we find a better section to save. So we're in about 12 feet there, and that's the section that we're going to save and then build back to this corner here.
What's the plan for getting this thing rebuilt?
All right, well, the first thing you have to do is you have to put a footing in so that you can build on that.
Okay.
So this is Martin. He
Martin.
is our excavation contractor, and he's going to dig all our foundation walls and pour them.
Martin, what do we need down in your neck of the woods to prep for the 2 stories?
Well, today we're doing the layout where the new footing is going to go in for the section that they add into this house.
So you say footing. We're not talking about a full foundation here.
It's a continuous 24-inch by 12 inches deep continuous concrete footing.
Steel reinforced?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
That just goes right into the ground? How deep?
We have to dig down about 18 inches.
18 inches for a 2-story addition. I wish I could do that up north. We have to be 4 or 5 feet deep.
Right.
Yeah, it looks like it's a little different here.
So no forms for that footing.
The ground is our form for
Yeah, because you're hand digging it, you can control the sidewalls and really
Correct.
make it nice and neat. Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess you can dig by hand when you only got to go 18 inches, right?
Yeah, I
Tommy?
guess you can. And the digging looks pretty good here. It's pretty good. They're using those little plastic ties there, and those are holding the rebar up 1/3 of the height of the foundation. You always want the rebar in the lower third because that's where you can get breakout, and the rebar holds it together.
Down here in Charleston, there's a lot of crepe myrtle trees, like this big one right in front of Judith's house. I don't know too much about them, so that's why I brought along our arborist, Bob Longe.
Hey.
Bob, tell me about our tree.
Oh, you've got a great crepe myrtle here. It's a large variety. Has flowering typically in the summer months, 2 to 3 month period of flowering. And it's got an attractive exfoliating bark. But the one problem is that it's being hidden by another tree species growing up through the actual crepe myrtle itself.
The one on the backside.
Correct. So that plant, I would remove that plant.
Completely.
Correct.
Okay.
To help focus our efforts and management efforts on the crepe myrtle tree.
But taking away that tree isn't going to hurt our crepe myrtle.
No, it will not. And what we'd like to do after that is to make sure it does not resprout, then put our efforts towards managing the canopy of the crepe myrtle tree.
So a lot of it's pruning.
Correct. So you want to remove dead, diseased, and broken branches, crossing branches, and then provide house clearance as well.
Great. I'm going to check in with Judith and I'll let you know what she wants to do.
That sounds great.
Want to tackle all your home improvement projects with confidence? Join This Old House Insider, a new streaming service from This Old House, the iconic Emmy-winning series that inspired a generation of home enthusiasts. Stream over 1,000 episodes of This Old House and Ask This Old House commercial-free. Watch it all in the This Old House app and join live online Q&As with our experts. Best of all, you can try Insider free for 7 days. To join, go to thisoldhousemembership.com.
You can't go far in Charleston without being reminded of this city's involvement in the American Civil War. And today we are headed to the place where it all began. Our guide is Ranger Gary Alexander. Gary, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So this is certainly a popular destination.
It sure is. Charleston's one of our most historic cities. We're heading out to Fort Sumter. It's about 3 miles out of the harbor entrance from the historic part of the city.
Right.
The fort was built in the years before the Civil War as part of our coastal defense system. But today it's remembered as the place where America's Civil War began.
So what is the timeline of this fort at the time of the Civil War?
At the beginning of the Civil War, there were 85 men of the U.S. Army here. Abraham Lincoln decides that this fort will be reinforced and resupplied. The Confederate government declared it will not happen. So the Confederate batteries that were on the islands around Fort Sumter opened up fire on this fort at 4:30 in the morning on April 12, 1861. The battle lasted for basically 34 hours, but at the end of the day-and-a-half battle, the supplies of Fort Sumter were exhausted and Fort Sumter was surrendered, and immediately the Confederate Army took it over.
And so now the Confederates control the fort for how long?
So they did, just shy of 4 years, from April of 1861 to February of 1865.
You know, I never knew that. So now it's the Union that's trying to take it back from the Confederates.
Exactly. Once you get the war going, the Union side tries to capture Charleston, shut down the port, and they capture Morris Island at the South Industrial Harbor in 1863, set up siege guns, and Charleston falls under siege for almost a year and a half. You are in the most bombed area in all of North America to this day.
So what did the fort look like before the siege?
It was 50 feet tall all the way around, Kevin. It's basically a pentagon-shaped fort. On 4 sides of the pentagon, you would have had guns on 3 levels.
We only have 1 level left here, but they would have gone up 2 more.
Yes, sir.
Massive. Okay. And how many cannon would that have held?
It fully fitted out. We're looking at 135 cannons.
Okay.
Once the siege began in late summer of 1863, Fort Sumter started to take heavy damage, and the upper part of the fort began to collapse. And here we see a projectile from one of the guns on Morris Island. Yes.
That is remarkable. Look at that. So that would have been a direct hit and just blown out this section right here.
That's what happened. Kevin, despite the siege of a year and a half, Fort Sumter and Charleston refused to surrender. However, in February of 1865, with the Union Army of General William Tecumseh Sherman marching at Charleston from the west, the remainder of the Confederate troops here decided that Charleston had to be sacrificed as a casualty of war and evacuated. So the Civil War here in Charleston effectively ended February 18th, 1865.
You know, we have heard about the fires that destroyed the city early on, the earthquakes that did so much damage, and now the siege of the city. It's remarkable, given everything it's been through, that so much of that historical fabric of the city remains.
Charleston's been a very resilient city. No matter what catastrophe befalls her, she always comes back.
Nice. Well, Gary, we appreciate the tour. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin.
Here at our other project house, work continues to make the connection between our kitchen house and the main house. Now, there have always been 2 separate buildings, but Mark, our builder, has figured out how and where to break through on the inside. Hey, Mark.
Hey, Tom.
How are you?
Well, this is my business partner, Andy.
Hey, Andy, how are you?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And this is where we're going to do the breakthrough.
Okay, so the stairway's going to go right down here.
But in order to figure that out, we have to understand these pretty complicated stairs first.
Yeah, we have 2 floor elevations.
We do, but that's Andy's specialty, so he's got it all figured out, so I'm going to leave it to you 2.
Okay. What do you got, Andy?
The doorway is going to go here, Tom.
So the doorway's going through the wall here because we got a stairway coming up.
Correct.
Okay, so the opening is going to come back here.
Yes,
How
sir.
far back?
Right near your right foot.
Okay, so it's going to go here and down.
And
All
go
right.
down. And what we did is we have a disposition between this floor and the next floor down below us.
Yeah, the other floor is much lower.
Much lower. So what we had to do is calculate our head height.
Yep.
So when we did our calculation, we feel that this is going to be the header height for our new door opening.
So you calculated from this finished floor down so many treads.
Correct.
When you get the top of the tread, before it meets the plane of this wall, we have a code issue, and that's 6'6", 6'8", I believe.
6'8".
6'8", okay. So that's the height of the bottom of that brick has to be.
And what we did is we took the original internal staircase and we measured that rise and that run and applied it to this scenario right
So
here.
all the risers in the house will be the same height.
Correct, muscle memory.
Okay.
So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use this header that we just cut.
Yeah.
And our engineer allowed us to use this, and we're going to put this just like this.
So this is nice and wide, so I take it the course of wall here is 2 brick deep?
Correct.
Perfect.
We'll have 4 inches of bearing on either side
down
to support
here,
all
down
this
there.
brick load above us.
Nice.
So,
All right.
and this will get all cleaned up. It'll look very nice when we're all fine and finished.
All right, so where do we begin?
Well, Alfonso's going to come in here, and he's going to cut a 12-inch square hole so we can confirm that this head height is exact.
That's a great idea. Let's get out of his way. All right, so it looks like he's getting ready to break through.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go to the other side and see what it looks like.
Okay.
We're through.
There you go, Andy. 170 years. You finally have an opening between these two buildings.
To be exact, Tommy, it's about 177 years.
All right, I stand corrected.
Let's see if we can confirm our measurements, and let's see if this header is going to actually work.
Okay. Okay, so how's it look?
So, Tommy, it looks like we're going to be 1 brick off from our initial estimate.
So I have to move it up?
That's right. We're going to move it up 1 brick, but I think what we'll end up doing is we'll use this location where the mule is, and we'll just put in our new historic header right here.
Good. Well, you have to take this mule out anyways because it's rotted on the other end.
That's exactly right.
So that'll be perfect. Great. All right, so Alfonso's got the dry fit on this side. Looks good.
Yep. Looks like what we're going to do is we'll go to the next side. We'll do the exact same cut, and then this thing will just slide right on in, and we'll complete our header.
All right, so it looks like you had about a day's work to get this whole thing open.
That sounds about right.
Okay, good.
Yep. Now you can watch This Old House and Ask This Old House anytime, anywhere. Download our new app to stream full episodes to your tablet, your TV, and your phone. Binge classic episodes, catch up on recent renovations, and get step-by-step help projects all around the house. And best of all, it's free. The most trusted home improvement information is now available on your Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, iOS, and Android devices. Download the This Old House streaming app today.
A house as old as our project has a lot of fireplaces, and the mantels need a lot of work. That's what brought me to this place. Hey Adam, these are 3 mantles from our project house?
Sure are, Tom.
Well, this one back here looks like it's in pretty good shape.
Yeah, it's not too bad. It does need a little repair. This column came off.
Yeah?
So we're gonna have to get to that reattached after I start dealing with some of this old paint.
Boy, talk about paint. There's got to be a lot of layers on there.
Yeah, there sure are. As you can see from the chip over here, 10, 12 layers possibly.
Wow. So what's your process about stripping these down?
I gotta start with a chemical stripper. I have one going over here in process I can show you.
Okay.
I've already painted on some strippers, so I'm gonna start scraping it back.
Okay. So once you paint that on, what do you think, about 2-3 minutes?
About 5 or 10 minutes or so.
Oh yeah, look at that. Well, that comes off nice.
Yeah, it takes work, it takes time. It doesn't come off on one layer.
Right. So that knife that you're using doesn't have a real sharp edge.
No, it's a hard edge. It's not flexible, but it's not sharp.
Yeah. Well, if it was sharp, you'd probably dig in like a chisel, and that wouldn't be good.
I could gouge and do a lot of damage to the piece.
Yeah. Why do more work than you have to, right?
Exactly. This is a really nice heart pine mantle. It's old growth pine, so the grains are real tight.
It's a beautiful wood.
We're gonna get it as clean as possible, and then probably go back with a clear lacquer at the end.
It almost looks like there's some kind of a varnish on there too under that.
It's very possible that the mantle was stained a couple times in addition to being painted in its life.
Yeah. It's definitely a lot of work.
Oh, it takes time. Getting all the way through a mantle this size takes me about a week start to finish.
Wow.
What I'm gonna do next is give this a wash with some lacquer thinner to get off the residue and let it dry out. So tomorrow I can start going after it with some straight razors to really give it a nice finish.
So you just let that soak right in?
Yeah, I'm just gonna wet it down, then use a slight abrasive pad to give this a little scrub. It'll release a lot of that paint that's on the surface still.
Oh yeah. See that.
So this detail strip is made of some edge grain, and you can see they're really tightly packed through there.
Yeah, definitely tight.
Yeah, really beautiful. Well, this one's finished for the night. I can let it dry out and get back to it tomorrow with some sanding.
Okay.
Let me take you over here and show you this mantle.
All right. This is pretty nice.
This guy's already been washed. I've let it dry out overnight, and I've already started sanding and finishing off some of the far side on it. I got a little bit more work to do in this corner and down this leg. The wood's really nice, but we're going to leave some of the paint and some of the details and around some of the corners just to let you feel the age and the history in the mantle.
It has a little bit of distress in it too.
Yeah, exactly. I got all my sanding done and I'm ready to start my final process here. So I'm going to start with a lacquer-based sanding sealer, get a coat on everything.
Perfect. Nice thing about the lacquer, it sets up really quick.
It sure does. I'll be able to get after it about 20 minutes or so.
Yep.
All right, Tom, it's been about 15 minutes. This top coat of sealer is dry, and we're buffing it out now with a 220 sandpaper.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I'm going to use an epoxy filler to get in all the surface divots, and then give it one more sanding to prep it for a top coat.
Well, I got to say, Adam, I can't wait until they show up on the site and get installed.
Yeah, me too, Tom.
This house has a lot of windows, and they are all original. That means they're 177 years old. These are double hung, and there are no sash weights on the side. So if you wanted to keep this window open, you would raise the lower sash, you would turn this dog right here, set it back down on it, and that would hold the window open. Now, if we wanted to replace these windows, we would need an exact replica. Wood, same profile. But the homeowners, thankfully, want to save them, and they're in pretty good shape. So Mark and Jared are actually out on the piazza starting that process right now. Hey, Mark. Hey, Jared.
Hey, Kev.
I love the fact that we are saving these original windows, although there are a lot of them.
There are over 36 sashes that we need to go through on this house. Assess all of the glazing, and then ascertain how many broken panes we have, like here, here, and here. All of them have to be replaced, which will be Jared's job that he'll do on site.
And so, Jared, what is your process? What are the steps you go through?
Well, I got to take out the old glazing so that we can replace these broken panes.
Yeah. Will some of the glazing stay if it's in good enough shape, or does it all come out?
Absolutely. If it's in good shape, we'll keep it.
Nice. Gonna come out in a couple pieces.
Right.
What do you guys think? Original or newer?
This is a newer pane. It's not period to the house. So you see it does have some small waves in it, but it isn't considered what we would call antique glass.
Yeah. So how do we replace this?
We've salvaged a fair bit of historic wavy glass, which we'll use as replacements. And if we run out, we'll go back with a more modern glass.
Okay.
We're ready to sand these muntins now. All right, now we're going to install the new glass. And now we have to install our glazing points.
So those will hold everything in place while it dries and
Correct.
provides an extra level of hold.
That's right. We're going to come in maybe an inch away from the corners. You have to be careful not to put too much pressure on the glass. And we're going to put 2 on each side. There's our last point going in. Now we're ready for the glazing. Just get a handful of it here, and we need to roll it around and kind of loosen it up and get it ready to go in, pack it in there.
Makes it more malleable to do the shaping.
That's right.
All right, so 2 more panes, 35 more sashes to go, but we've got one more step before it's complete. Let me show you.
Thank you, Jared.
Thank you, Jay.
You got it, guys.
Heat is the big problem in the South, Kevin, and this is a product that I personally like to use.
Little film here. It's got a little tint to it.
Ever so slightly.
Yeah.
So you put it up in the individual pane, and it cuts down on the solar gain in the room.
So normally the sun comes up, it hits these windows and heats this room up in a heartbeat.
Instantly.
Yeah.
And we're not allowed to replace these historic windows with a double pane window because we're subject to historic board's review.
And what do they think of this?
They like the product. The other added benefit is that it dramatically reduces the UV penetration, which bleaches out fabrics,
Nice.
rugs, and the like.
And you're saying it goes on the inside, and you're literally going to cut them to fit every one of these panes?
Every single one. And there's a couple hundred individual panes to do in this house.
Right. Although as you hold it up there, I mean, I could see a little bit of a difference, but when they're all the same, you're not going to be able to tell that's got anything on the window.
That's the key to it.
And that should go a long way to solve our heat problem.
It'll go a fair bit. The most we can do under this pretty restrictive situation.
All right. Well, it looks like we've got a plan for these windows. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next time, we go scuba diving to harvest lumber for this project, and Richard searches for HVAC space. Until then, I'm Kevin O'Connor for This Old House. Next time on This Old House. This is the Edisto River, and it's about 45 minutes from Charleston. And today, our lumberjack, well, he's not wearing flannel, he's wearing scuba gear.
And I have a plan to conquer Southern air.
And here in Charleston, this is ground zero for termites.
Still seems pretty solid, but if you come over here, this is actually what it looks on the inside.
Oh boy.
That's next time on This Old House.
Thanks for watching. This Old House has got a video for just about every home improvement project, so be sure to check out the others. And if you like what you see, click on the subscribe button to make sure that you get our newest videos right in your feed.